Hey all, just a very quick video just to explain how I have my Jumper T20 set up to drive my FPV car. The car came with a standard receiver and a pistol grip type radio, which had a range of about 50 meters, and obviously I want to try and drive a bit further than 50 meters, so I've converted it to Express LRS and I use my Jumper T20. Basically, what I have set up on the radio, we don't have a springed throttle, so we have to manually set the throttle to the center position because our cars can drive forward and drive backwards. So I just have a little audible beep when the stick is centered. Just helps me when I'm driving with my goggles on, just to know exactly whereabouts I am on the throttle. I've also set up with switches SA and SC a arm/kill switch, and with SC the 3-position switch, 3 throttle scales: 100%, 66% and 33%. Kill switch is definitely handy if you don't know where you are, your video goes all gobbledygook. You can just flick the kill switch and you know that the car is going to stop. It also means that while you're getting your goggles sorted and you're centering your throttle stick, the car isn't going to suddenly drive away off until you're ready. Once you're ready, just like a quad or a plane, you flick arm and away you go. The throttle scale is handy for when I'm letting my kids drive the car. I can flick that switch down to 33%, which is still plenty fast, especially on 3S, and they can happily drive it around, and I know it's not going to get smashed into a curb or fly out onto a road. It's kind of a manageable pace. Also means if I'm driving around on a footpath, you don't need to go massively fast, so you can just flick it down into that 33 or 66% range, and I know I can kind of again manage my speed. So I have an Express LRS receiver in the car. I take the standard one out, and I have the cable that runs from the servo for the steering connected to channel 1, and I have the cable that's connected to the ESC for the throttle connected to channel 3. Now, why did I do that? Well, PWM receivers generally come AETR: aileron, elevator, throttle and rudder. That's kind of the way the normal setup is for planes, and when you set up a new model on your radio, that's typically how it'll be set up. So it was just a really quick swap, really, just to put the servo into channel 1 and the throttle into channel 2. I also picked this receiver because it has pads on the back that I can connect directly to the car's battery, and what that does is send telemetry off that battery to my radio. So if I'm just driving around line of sight, I can just glance down at the radio and I can see what the battery's doing. It's a really handy thing with Express LRS. So the one thing you will need to do with the Express LRS receiver is, once it's all connected up and powered on, go to its Wi-Fi website, and we need to just change the setting in there. It'll be for the channel 3 for the throttle, and it will be the fail-safe. Generally the fail-safe will be set for channel 3 as 998, and that's because if you're flying a plane and you lose radio connection, you want the throttle to drop to 0 and the plane land. Now, because our cars can drive forward and drive back, our throttle, the 0 position of our throttle isn't at the very bottom, it's centered. So we just need to change the US value from 998 to 1500. So if you fail safe, the throttle goes to that middle position and the car will stop rather than just carry on. The first thing we'll set up then is the center for the stick. What you want to do there is create a new model and go into the model settings and scroll to the second page, and you're looking for CTR beep. Now I have everything effectively: switches, my main switches, sliders, sticks, all set that when they're in the center position they'll beep. The one that you definitely want to have there is the T for the throttle set. So just go into the CTR beep, click on the option you want and set it. It just means that when you move your throttle up and down, when it reaches the middle position, it'll give a little beep. So then the channels themselves, now with opentx or EdgeTX, I'm sure there's lots of different ways you can actually set these things up. This is just the way I have it set up. It seems to work. There may be a more elegant solution than the way I have it set up. But yeah, it does seem to work for me. So in the inputs, you can see there my aileron, which is going to be channel 1, which is the steering. I have set for full 100% range. And I just edited the channel for 20% expo. And it just means as I'm steering left and right and I'm driving fast, if the stick just is a little bit off to the left or to the right, it's like a little bit of deadband. It just makes control a little bit smoother when I'm driving faster. I found that 20 was fine for me. You can adjust and play with those settings, give as much or as little expo as you want. The main thing that we set up is for the throttle, and as you can see there, this is where I have my throttle scale set, 100, 66 and 33, and I'm using the 3-position switch SC. So when it's in the up position, it's at 100% throttle, in the middle 66, and in the bottom position 33. So what you want to do is just scroll down to channel 3, click the enter button and select insert after. Then move into that option, and you want to set the weight. So if you're setting it up the same as me, your weight will be left at 100. And you can scroll down, set yourself a little bit of expo for the throttle. For my throttle, I've set 50%. And then scroll down to switch and set the switch that you want to use to the position that you want it to use. And click out of that, and that's that saved. Then click on the option that you've just created, hold the button and select insert after once again. And then for the next values, you just want to change the weight to say 66. Set the same amount of expo as the previous channel, and set the switch to the position. So for my middle position, I have it set at 66. And then back out of that, click on insert after once again, and now set the weight to 33. Set the expo to 50 again, and set the switch to the down position. Now again, you can play with those values. You can have throttle scales, or you don't have to. You can set the 2 positions, so it's 100% and 50%, or 100, 75, 50, 25 on a slider. It's entirely up to you. So the next thing then will be setting the arm switch. So what you want to do is back out to the model options and scroll to page 9, which is the special functions, and set it up similar to what I have here. So when my switch SA is in the up position, it overrides channel 3 and 0. Basically it means nothing happens, it cuts it. So it's just like an arm switch for your plane or for your quad. Channel 3 effectively only becomes active when switch SA is in the down position. When it's in that up position, it is overridden and nothing happens. So those are the main kind of functions that I use for my radio, with the arm switch, the throttle scale on the 3-position switch, and a little beep for whenever my throttle is in the center position. The other final thing that we can do is scroll to the telemetry page, page number 10, and add new sensors. And of course, this is if you're using a PWM you have connected to the car's battery. Search for sensors, and you should find a sensor there called RXBT, possibly sensor number 11, and it'll be your car's battery effectively. Now what I had to do was get a multimeter and just check what voltage the battery was actually outputting, and then connect it all in, and it didn't quite match up. So what you have to do, if you find that that's the case for you, is click the enter button on sensor 11. You want to edit the sensor. What you want to do is just add a little bit of offset. So scroll down to offset, and then scroll left or scroll right to add or subtract some offset. until the voltage matches the number that you had in the multimeter, and that should set it up to be a more accurate reading. And then you can set up telemetry screens, so it's just a simple case of clicking a button on your radio when you're driving along, so you can look down and just go to your telemetry screens. So that's it. I've done this as a slideshow, so you can kind of pause as I'm going and copy what's on the screen. Hopefully it works for you. As I say, for opentx and EdgeTX, there's a lot of different ways you can do things. This is the way I did it. It's possibly not the right way, but it seems to work, and seems to work reliably. So that's it. Thanks now. Bye.